Okay, this is what we call a line graph. Okay, now no, it's not one straight line, but aren't all the parts of it made up by lines connected? Okay, so we call it a line graph. And the graph shows the amount of water left in Rover's water dish over a period of time. So we're talking about a dog and his water dish over a period of time that ranges from 0 seconds to 105 seconds. Okay, how much water does Rover start with in his water dish? 400 milliliters. Okay, that's how much water he starts with. Now, the first 15 seconds, what happens? Which means what? Right, he didn't drink anything, right? Because 15 seconds later, there's still 400 milliliters, so he hasn't started drinking. But then look, between 15 and 30 seconds, the water level goes down to 300 milliliters, which means he drank how much? 100 milliliters. Because look, if it drops from 400 to 300, didn't it drop 100 milliliters over those 15 seconds? Okay, but then between 30 and 60 seconds, it stays at 300. So he wasn't drinking during that time. And then he starts drinking again at 60 seconds. And he drinks how much? 200 milliliters for those next 15 seconds. And then he takes another break again. And then he drinks the last 100 milliliters. So the question wants to know, how long did Rover wait from the end of his first drink to the start of his second drink of water? Right. Okay, Prashad, look at your answer choices. Do you see a 100? No. Okay, so I want to put 2 points on this graph. I want to put a point where the end of his first drink is and a point at the start of his second drink. Where would the point go to represent the end of his first drink? At 30 seconds, 300 milliliters, right? That was the end of his first drink. Where would the point go to represent the start of his second drink? Right, 60 seconds, 300 milliliters. So they want to know, how long did he wait from the end to the start? Well, how long of a wait is that? 30 seconds. So B. With all graphs, your independent variable will always go on the x-axis, which is the horizontal axis, and the dependent variable will always go on the y-axis, the vertical axis. Doesn't the amount of water in his dish depend on how much time has passed? Okay, so it's the dependent variable because it depends on how much time has passed. Time will always be independent because can we control time? Can we slow it down or speed it up? Right. I wish we could just pause it sometimes. Okay, but we cannot. So time will always be your independent variable. Okay? The amount of water is dependent because the amount of water left in his dish depends on how much time has passed. Independent variable always goes on the x-axis. Dependent variable always goes on the y-axis. Okay, number 27. Janai's first 7 French grades for the year are 91, 87, 80, 99, 85, 78, and 90. What grade is at the 75th percentile? Any idea what they would be meaning when they say 75th percentile? The 75th percentile of data would sit where? Okay, but any ideas what that would be the same as on a box and whisker plot? Median's the middle, so that would be the 50th percentile, so quartile 3. Okay, 75th percentile would be at Q3. So what do we need to do to figure out what grade is at the 75th percentile? Put them in order first. Okay, what's the lowest grade? Okay, and then I'm going to mark it out. And then what's the next lowest grade? Okay, mark it out, and then 85, 87, 90, 91, 99. Okay, and I know this seems silly, but when I've been walking around today checking people's problems as they worked on their own in my first and second period, people would get questions like this wrong because when they would rewrite their list, they would forget a number, and that throws off all the data. Okay, it throws off all the answers. So you should always check. They said there were 7 French grades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Always recount your data. Make sure you copied it all back down. Okay, you don't want to miss a question that is this simple just because you overlooked a number and forgot to copy it down. Okay, so now, before you can find Q3, what must you find first? The median, which is Q2. And since we have 7 numbers, doesn't that mean there's going to be an exact middle number? And what is it? 87. That's your quartile 2. Now, we're looking for quartile 3, which would be where? The upper half, okay, which would be in the middle of those 3, 91. What would the grade be at the 25th percentile? 80. That would be Q1. Any questions about that? Okay, now turn over to page 22. Okay, and I want you to try 28, 29, and 30 by yourself. Terry waitressed 10 days out of the last 2 weeks. The amount of money she earned each day in tips are those values. How much money is at the 50th percentile? So what are you looking for in this data? The median, Q2. So what did you have to do first? Okay, what was the lowest one? Then after that? Okay. $52, okay. Okay, and then once I reorder them, I'm going to check. They said 10 days, so there should be 10 amounts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, since there are 10, and that's an even number, 2 numbers split the middle, so what do you have to do with those 2? Right, average them. Find the mean, and what is the average of 38 and 42? Right, because isn't that right in the middle? It's 2 above 38 and 2 below 42. Okay, the median of any set of data always represents the correct. Now, that's different than 50% of the data. 50% of the data is in the box from Q1 to Q3. But the median is actually like 50th percentile, which is just the middle of the data. Okay, so don't think of 50th percentile as the same thing as 50% of the data. That's different. Okay, Ms. Michelson drew a box and whisker plot to represent her student scores on a recent math test. If Jennifer scored an 85 on the test, explain how her grade compares with the rest of her class. Okay, that would place her at what percentile? Right, which is 75th percentile. And then what does that mean about other kids? How many kids scored better than her? 25% scored higher. Because remember, in a box and whisker plot, the box represents 50% of the data. Okay, below the box represents 25%, and above the box represents 25%. Does that make sense? So if she scored at the very top of the box at quartile 3, that's the 75th percentile, and only 25% are higher than that. Okay, now I want you to try 31 through 34. And I'm not going to give you very long because probably a lot of you went ahead and jumped down. Okay, it says the number of text messages 10 different students sent in one day is shown in the box and whisker plot below. 31. What is the minimum number of text messages sent according to the plot shown? Correct, 2. The minimum was at 2. What number is at the 50th percentile according to the plot? 12, which is A, yes. According to the plot shown, between what 2 numbers does half of the data lie? Right, half of the data is 50% of the data, right? And that is in the box from 8 to 14. And then 34, according to the plot shown, how many text messages are at the 75th percentile? Right, 14 is sitting at Q3, which is the 75th percentile. Jessica, you pay attention, please. Okay, now turn to page 23. This page is tricky. Okay, it says, in order to pass a driver's safety course, a person must answer at least 45 out of 50 questions correctly. The cumulative histogram, keyword cumulative, gives the scores of a group of people who passed the exam. According to the table shown, how many total people passed the driver's safety exam? Is correct. Remember, this is cumulative, which means they've been totaling along the way. Okay, so let's break it down. Everybody just put your pencil down a second and focus up on the board. Okay, the first bar represents 45 questions correct. How many people got exactly 45 correct? 2. But then the next bar represents 45 to 46 questions correct. And then all of a sudden it's 4. Well, weren't 2 of those 4 these people? So actually, how many people got exactly 46 correct? 2. Because 2 plus 2 made that 4. Then the next one, they're now adding up how many people got between 45 and 47 correct. Right, because we know that 2 people got 45 correct, 2 people got 46 correct. Well, now all of a sudden for this to be 8, doesn't that mean 4 people got 47 of them correct? Okay, then if it jumped from 8 to 9, how many people actually got exactly 48 right? 1, because to jump from 8 to 9 is just 1. And then to jump from 9 to 14, how many people got exactly 49 correct? How many people got exactly 49 correct? 5. Because to jump from 9 to 14, isn't that a jump of 5? And then to 14 to 20 is a jump of, so that means 6 people got exactly 50 correct. So if you total those up, 2 plus 2 is 4, 4 plus 4 is 8, 8 plus 1 is 9, 9 plus 5 is 14, 14 plus 6 is 20. Okay, it's cumulative. It's not like it's 45, 46, 47. This includes people who got 45 questions and 46 questions correct. Well, we know 2 of those belong to the 45, so 2 must belong to the 46 to get that total of 4. Does everybody understand how to read a cumulative one? Okay, now that we've written all that out, it'll make it easier to answer questions 36 and 37. According to the table shown, how many people answered 49 questions correctly? 5, right. And then number 37, according to the table shown, how many people received a score of 48 or less? Right, 9. 48 or less would be these people, these people, these people, and those people, and that adds up to 9. Okay? All right, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to hand out the review sheet for Wednesday's test.